morning, Mrs. Muir. Here's your article. Woman Power. Join the crusade against male supremacy by Carolyn Muir.
Is that on the front page?
No, under the obituary column.
Oh. Well, now I know how it feels to be buried alive.
Never mind. You tried.
And died. I get it.
There she is. Oh, we had to come shake the hand that shook the administration.
Your rhetoric was inspiring. Women of Schooner Bay, how long must we tolerate the Do-Nothing Council headed by Claymore Gregg?
I got chills all over.
Thank you. I'm surprised you even found it.
There isn't a woman in town who doesn't read the obituary column.
We're going after every civic improvement you mentioned. That's marvelous.
You've united us.
Tell her the news.
I'd save the best part for last. We've decided to run a woman candidate in the coming election for Claymore Gregg's seat on the council.
Oh, that's wonderful. Whom do you have in mind?
Mrs. Carolyn Muir.
Me? You're not serious. You are serious.
Oh, you mustn't be so modest, Mrs. Muir. With you at the helm, we'd have a successful, marvelous campaign.
And remember, half the voters in this town are women.
That's right.
Well, that may be true, but I know nothing about politics.
You're the perfect candidate, Mrs. Muir.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are. We need a person like you. Someone who gets things done. You know, to lead us into battle. Charge!
Oh, well, you're terribly sweet, and I couldn't be more flattered. But my work and my family do keep me fairly busy. And my kids are still going through that helpless stage.
Mom?
You know Jonathan and Candy.
Oh, of course. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Hi. I finished making the beds, Mother. I collected some firewood. I'm gonna wash Scruffy. I washed Scruffy yesterday. You can help me wash the car. Okay. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
I wish I had helpless help like that.
Well, they do need some looking after. Well, and then there's my writing assignments and research and the PTA.
And you'll do it anyway.
No, I really couldn't possibly.
She needs more time to think it over.
Oh, we realize it. That didn't take all the time you need.
We'll call you in an hour.
You're certainly not considering running for the council.
Oh, certainly not.
Congratulations. A woman intelligent enough to realize that women don't belong in politics is rare in your generation.
I beg your pardon?
Politics is a man's domain, my dear.
Oh, and on what stone is that carved?
Dear lady, men have shaped the world as we know it today.
True.
Of course.
And as usual, it's up to the women to clean up the mess.
Gentlemen, please. Gentlemen, let us get on with this, please.
Nominations for the next president of the council in the upcoming election. I nominate the incumbent, Claymore Gregg.
Do I hear a second?
Why second?
My friends, after years of public service, I was looking forward to passing the burden on to others. But this is so moving. What can I say in the face of this spontaneous draft?
Been an awful lot of talk about that article Mrs. Muir wrote in the paper this morning, Claymore.
Folks are saying she's got a point, Claymore, about you getting re-elected unopposed every year.
Folks figure it's a mite undemocratic.
I yield to no one in my devotion to democracy. And to prove it to you, I shall personally choose a worthy opponent this time. As... Gentlemen, I know just the man. Mr. Leander Whipple.
You mean old Windy Whipple?
I mean a man who was never too busy to share his wisdom with others. A man of great governmental knowledge. Remembered by all for the way he cleaned up this town.
Well, I admit Leander was a good street cleaner.
He was commissioner of public sanitation, Seth. He was also an excellent supervisor-in-chief of canine control.
I ain't denying he was a good dog catcher.
And public school head of maintenance.
And a fine janitor, too.
Gentlemen, I don't believe there are any of you here who have suffered by following my judgment in these matters in the past. In fact, a number of you have benefited financially. Need I say more? And now I present my opponent, Mr. Leander Whipple.
Leander Whipple? Well, thanks for letting me know, Mrs. Vogel. Of all the gall. That high-handed, insufferable, reprehensible scoundrel.
Now, what have I done?
Not you, Captain. Claymore. Not that Leander Whipple isn't a nice enough man, but to run him for president of the council, well, that's a farce.
As they say, politics makes strange bedfellows.
Well, these bedfellows are in for a fight. And I don't mean a pillow fight.
May I suggest, madam, that you don't bother to call them. I assure you your words will fall on deaf ears.
I'm not calling them. Hello, Mrs. Vogel. This is your candidate, Carolyn Muir. I'm ready to charge into battle.
We should never have given them the vote.
My friends, nothing in time nor space stretches quite so far as the horizons of the mind.
Now, ladies, we've had enough empty promises. Heard enough long-winded, meaningless speeches.
By women politicians?
By women by do-nothing politicians. So I say to you, let's move into the future. Beat Boss Greg. Yeah!
You would have to go a long way to find a more honest face. Gentlemen, that alone should put me over.
Over a barrel, maybe, from the looks of things.
From the looks of what things, Petey?
Mrs. Muir, for one. You gotta admit, she's a darn sight prettier than you are, Claymore.
Oh, I admit that. She is prettier than I am.
And smart.
Oh, she is smart as a whip. Why, I hear today the speech she gave was absolutely terrific.
You don't seem to be concerned. Mrs. Muir is flying high.
Of course she's flying high. So I think the time has come to clip her wings.
Anyone know where that bumper sticker is?
I haven't seen it. Me neither.
Let's put in the message where it spreads.
I'll get it, Martha.
Oh, good afternoon, Mrs. Muir.
Hi, Claymore.
Hi. I just stopped by to tell you how very much I enjoyed your speech.
You did?
The way you took me apart, Mrs. Muir, was beautiful. It was just beautiful. You might have had an excellent chance of getting elected.
Might have.
It is a shame, Mrs. Muir, but we are faced with one of those annoying little technicalities.
Claymore, what are you talking about?
This. This, Mrs. Muir, is the original survey of the township. It establishes the boundaries of Schooner Bay, 1810. Can you see that down there? According to this, Mrs. Muir, Gull Cottage, where we are now, is just one itsy-bitsy foot outside the town limits. I'm afraid, Mrs. Muir, according to this, it disqualifies you as a candidate.
You mean I can't run?
You can't even vote.
Oh, now wait a minute.
No, I'd love to, Mrs. Muir, but I must rush back and prepare a statement expressing my regret over the untimely demise of your political career, sportsmanship protocol, and all that. Or as we say in the political arena, put your buttons away for another day. Bye!
All the impossible bunglers.
Now, what has Claymore done?
Not Claymore. You.
Aye, madam.
How could you live here so long and not do anything about it?
By being accused retroactively?
Why didn't you get the town limits extended to include Gull Cottage?
I did.
You did?
Yes. There was a second survey in 1849 which brought Gull Cottage within the township.
Well, where is it? If I can get it, I won't be disqualified as a candidate.
Yes, that had crossed my mind. Cheer up, madam. Worse things could happen.
Worse things will happen. Claymore's going to be elected.
Oh, that's a bearable prospect. Under the circumstances, Claymore is the lesser of two evils. After all, he is a man.
That is prejudice. Just blind, bullheaded male prejudice.
Not at all. I simply haven't changed my mind about women in politics.
Why don't you fade back into the 19th century where that kind of thinking belongs?
Gladly, madam. At least in those days, women knew their place was in the home, not in the voting booth.
What's the use? It'd go right through him anyway.
A second survey, you say?
Yes. Proving Gull Cottage is inside the town limits.
Oh. But where is this alleged document, Mrs. Muir?
I don't know. But I have a pretty good idea you do.
Really, Mrs. Muir? No, I welcome your candidacy, even your victory. Why, I would be more than happy to withdraw from the burdens of this public life and retire to my own little Mount Vernon, free from all the cares. But if you don't believe me, why don't you look for yourself in the files, Mrs. Muir?
I'll just do that.
Look under S, the surveys.
You keep nice, neat files.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Muir.
How can I find anything in this mess?
Well, I assure you, Mrs. Muir, it's not there, but feel free to look. But I can imagine how you feel with your entire campaign going out the window.
Oh, what's the use? I give up.
Oh, that's what I say, Mrs. Muir. Why worry about an imaginary second document? I'll take that.
No, you won't.
But it's nothing, Mrs. Muir. It's just the minutes of the last meeting here.
Amended survey of Schooner Bay Township, 1849.
Oh, isn't that amazing? Well, I cannot imagine where that came from.
I can. Claymore, I'm back in the race. And if this is any indication, it's going to be a spirited election. Ta-ta. Captain? Captain?
Yes, madam?
Oh, I just want to thank you. I owe you a great deal.
It's a matter of principle, madam. I didn't want you to be eliminated by such blatant chicanery. That corrupt cockleshell Claymore will win. But it must be a fair fight.
Oh, don't be too sure he'll win. There's one little thing men have to reckon with. That's called woman power. So in conclusion, ladies, I say, mop up the mess. Put the house in order. It's time for a clean sweep.
I swear by the mustache of William Howard Taft, Leander Whipple will never forget his friends. And come election day, his friends will never forget Leander Whipple. Thank you. Thank you.
Fine speech, Leander. Keep it up. You're putting on a good show.
Show, sir? I say this before my fellow constituents. You take this message back to your master. By the brow of William Jennings Bryan, Leander Whipple will never give up the ship.
Vote for our mom! Vote for our mom! Vote for our mom!
Well, you two show a lot of spunk invading the enemy camp like this.
We're campaigning.
So I see. Well, now, I just might have something for two hardy campaigners like you.
We can't take any bribes. Not even one? Well, just one, but we're still working for Mom. Yeah! Vote for our mom! Vote for our mom!
And the little child shall lead them.
Vote for our mom! Vote for our mom!
Martha, you sure do know the way to a man's heart.
Well, some women do it with 7 veils. I do it with cherry pie.
Favorite pie.
Who's your favorite candidate?
Oh, I was leaning toward Claymore.
Say the magic word and it's yours.
Muir.
Say it again.
Muir.
Don't you forget it.
Oh, them women, they got a phone campaign going.
That's right, They call my wife.
Gabbing on street corners. Could talk you right out of the election, Claymore.
Well, you see, that is the trouble with free speech. You give it to some people, and they start using it. But, gentlemen, don't worry. There is absolutely nothing to be alarmed about.
Don't know if you can count on controlling Whipple anymore. He's making noises like a polecat sitting on a fence.
I will have that polecat purring like a kitten. Oh, gentlemen, I have the figures right here. Exactly what I need to win. Now, Seth, the last election you delivered 17 votes.
Well, it's going to be a mite tougher this time, Claymore. You see, my wife...
Who was it that got you that refreshment stand concession at the beach?
You got 17 votes.
Excellent. Ah, Deke. Now, the last election I see by my records that you brought in 19 votes.
But some of them 19 votes passed on, Claymore.
A mere technicality. They still are registered, aren't they?
19 votes.
Lovely. Now, Peavy, I can recall that...
31 votes.
Oh, this is lovely.
Goodbye, cherry pie.
You know, age isn't just for sleeping in the sun. It's for bowling on the green, reading better books in bigger libraries, meeting new friends in bigger parks. Which, by the beard of Ulysses S. Grant, Leander Whipple will make your home away from home. I thank you. Don't forget Leander Whipple on Election Day.
Bravo, Mr. Whipple.
Well, this is a great honor, my dear. You were preceded by your charming children. I don't suppose I could tempt you to my side with a lollipop.
No, thanks. But perhaps I could tempt you with one.
Well...
It's as simple as that, Mr. Whipple. You can't possibly win the election. But if you throw your votes to me, maybe I can.
Yes, but if and I pull out now, where does that leave me? And the people who believe that I'm trying to help them.
Mr. Whipple, I think that we've both been short-sighted. Your concern has been for the senior citizens of this town.
True.
And mine has been for the junior citizens. Now, why don't we join hands and bridge our own little generation gap? Remember, united we stand, divided we fall.
Mrs. Muir, as Rutherford B. Hayes said to Chester A. Arthur, you've given me something to chew on.
Then it's a deal?
Well, no, not quite. I'm going to have to think this over for a while. I tell you what, tomorrow morning at 10, I'm making my big policy speech. Now, you be at the park then, and you'll have my answer.
I'll be the first one there, Mr. Whipple. Thank you.
She is a mighty persuasive woman.
Well, as William Henry Harrison once said, women are to be wooed, men are to be persuaded.
No, I know you to be a very shrewd man, Leander, and a shrewd man should listen to his old friends. And please try to remember what they have done for you.
Well, I remember you offered to make me a garbage collector.
Oh, but we have much bigger plans for you now, Leander. The office of Commissioner of Parks, is now open to the man who can make just that right decision.
Well, as James A. Polk said, a man should never neglect his future. You be at the park tomorrow at 10, Claymore, and you will have my answer.
Oh, I will be there, Leander. Oh, I mean, Mr. Park Commissioner.
Good morning, ladies. So glad you could make it.
We wouldn't have missed this speech for the world. I've never been part of a political deal before.
I always thought it was done in a smoke-filled room. This is so much healthier.
Good morning, ladies. Oh, Madam Candidate.
Claymore?
Sorry about Leander. Better luck next time.
Pay no attention to him, Mrs. Muir. He's just boondoggling.
Honored citizens of Schooner Bay, today I want to talk about my two worthy opponents. One, a woman, pretty little thing, but inexperienced and untested in the political arena. The other, a man who has spent many years in the town government, a man who, by his shrewdness and cunning, has always found a way of getting things done. Very slick, very slick.
Any questions, Mrs. Muir?
Guess you made a better deal, Claymore.
There's hardly a soul in this fair community that don't owe Claymore Gregg something, and I perhaps owe him more than anyone else.
Well, Martha, I guess we've had it.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Muir. Mr. Peavy, you just blew your cherry pies for the next 10 years.
From the time he put me in charge of canine control. And I still got the torn pants to show for it.
Madam.
Well, you must be very happy over the turn of events.
On the contrary, I never dreamed that being president of the council meant so much to you.
I couldn't care less about the presidency. I never wanted it.
If I'm dead another 100 years, I'll never understand women.
It just seemed that it was the best way to get a lot of things done we needed for the town. And now with Mr. Whipple selling out to Claymore, we're going to get the same old nothing.
Another piece of political advice, madam. Never count on what a politician will say until he's said it.
And so, in stepping down as a candidate, I'm asking all my loyal followers to vote for someone worthy of your consideration and confidence.
Did you see that?
You did this to me, Claymore. You deliberately sabotaged my speech.
What are you talking about?
You and your strong-arm stuff.
Couldn't we discuss this in my office?
We'll discuss it right here. I'm my old man. Nobody's going to shove Leander Whipple around.
I didn't do anything.
I swear by Warren G. Harding's teeth, I'm throwing all my votes to Carolyn Muir.
Did you hear that?
No, Leander, you can't do that. No, when an honest politician is bought, he stays bought.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Whipple.
Mrs. Muir, the truth is, I was going to throw my votes to you all along. I wanted the best man to win, even if it was a woman. You sure make losing a pleasure. I'll never forget this election.
Oh, neither will Schooner Bay, because I swear by the braids of Amelia Bloomer, we're going to rename this place Leander Whipple Park. Morning, Martha.
Good morning. Well, what do you know? You left the obituary and came to life on the front page. Carolyn Muir withdraws as Claymore Gregg agrees to women's demands.
Here, here.
Too bad you withdrew. You could have been elected.
I make a better den mother than city father.
Right.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, madam. And I am glad that you agree that men are better in politics than women are.
Not at all. I just feel that men have done such a bad job. They deserve another chance.
Women stubborn to the end.